Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my F2 2019 season for the round in Austria today. So I'm 13 points behind Nicholas Latifi in the championship, so we're going to try and close that up today and try to get closer to the lead of the championship. Austria has always been one of my favourite tracks, so I'm really looking forward to this one, and I think we can close the gap over this weekend, so let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to Spielberg for the first practice session of the Austrian Formula 2 race weekend.
So here for practice, normally I don't really take F2 practice too seriously, but today I decided I wanted to get it right and really make sure that I set this race up to be as fair as I can with the AI, because I have probably been setting the difficulty a little on the
We're like a rubber out on track, trying to take it easy for a couple of laps.
a little bit on the lower side. So this time, because it's my favorite track, I want it to be a real challenge, and I think if I can win, it would be really cool. So let's see if we can do that. So I'm just going to go out, set a few laps in practice, and see what the best time I can do is and how that compares to the AI at their current setting. So after my first run of laps in practice, the best I could do was 117 flat, so that will be what I base the difficulty from for qualifying, and I'll adjust it further into the race if need be. But as I was pushing on the next lap, still trying to improve, I was carried way too much speed through there and completely lost the car. Lucky not to hit the wall, but not a big deal. Spun it around and tried to go again for another lap, but here's the replay, and yeah, looks like a very dodgy spin from that angle. How it went to the right, I'm not quite sure. Must have I guess I just overcorrected it. I'm not sure what was actually happening at the time, but I couldn't improve the time further after that, so that is the time I'm stuck with for practice. So we'll see what everyone else can do for the rest of this session.
An interesting practice session there then. Let's remind ourselves of the top three, which are Calderon, Giotto and Nick de Vries. Thank you for joining us for free practice today. We'll be back with more Formula 2 action very soon.
So there you go, I won that practice session by a bit over a second, so I'm going to put the difficulty up to 95, and just there I completely missed the opportunity to do that, so I had to back out of the session and go through the menus again to change the difficulty.
Welcome back to Spielberg for today's qualifying at the Austrian Formula 2 race. The drivers are prepped and raring to go, and I suspect we're going to have a bit of a fight on our hands for pole position.
Okay, so here we are, just in case you don't believe me, changing the difficulty before we go out for qualifying, and now we start our first qualifying lap, and actually probably ending our first qualifying lap. There we go, and that will not be much of a time, but I'm going to do quite a number of laps in this session to try to get the absolute most out of it, because since I've turned the difficulty up, this is actually going to be quite an achievement if I can get pole position. So let's go see what we can achieve. We're green through the first sector, so we're already improving on our banker time. This is on the super soft tyres, I believe, so they're not going to last too long. So I need to get a good lap in the few early laps on these tyres, because they will wear rather quickly. So let's see what we can achieve for sector 2. But I went way too deep into there, and made more or less the same mistake as I made in practice, and there was no way I could improve after doing that. But somehow that was worth 2 exceeding track limits things on the race director. One a warning, and one is the invalidated lap. So on to another lap, and running a little bit wide there through turn 3, and eventually we actually run out of fuel, and I never really have the chance to beat that original banker lap that I just set. So it's a bit of a disaster in qualifying so far. So we'll have to go out again and see if we can achieve more, because that lap that I set is not good enough. So I'm really going to have to push hard to improve that, because the tyres have had quite a few laps taken out of them now. So we'll just have to, I guess, just hope for better. So here we go again, on for another lap, and fairly aggressive through the first corner, running a little bit wide, trying to use as much road as possible and open up the radius of the corner. But you can see we're red, and I will mention this is still on the super soft tyres that we were on before, and we are red through the first sector, so no time being found so far. Bit of a slide on the exit there, and that will not help our lap time at all either. And as we cross the line, we just we can't find time anywhere. These tyres have nothing left to give, and I have not qualified very high at all. So my only option is to go onto the soft tyres that will be used for the sprint race, and run a few laps on them now, and to get a better qualifying position in the feature race. It will cost us a bit in the sprint race, but if it can win us the feature race by qualifying higher up the field, it will well be worth it. So let's see what we can achieve on these tyres. We can see we're already green through the first sector, and absolutely nailing turn 4 there, and through the second sector it is red. So we are right on the bubble of improving our lap. But through the last sector we gain quite a bit of time.
Okay, you're in the top 10.
And we move up to P7. Now onto another lap through turn 1 once again, and we are already green, and that's what we need to see. We need to see massive improvements throughout these laps to try to get ideally on the front row, but I'm not really sure if that's possible. Green to the first sector once again, but only just. It was red there for quite a while, but as we head into turn 4 now, and we are red, so I just can't seem to get the perfect lap together at this point. But big aggression through there, taking a lot of that inside curb, and running out very wide on the exit, and we do eventually make that a green sector by doing that. And again, they're using a lot of the exit curb, trying to open up the radius of the corners as much as humanly possible. So as we go now through the last complex of corners, can we bring this lap to the end, and what sort of time can we do? Can we move forward up the grid? Where can we go on the grid from P7 up to P3? So that's the improvement we need to find. But at this point I'm wearing out the tyres every lap that I do, but I just keep finding more and more time, and I'm feeling like it is worth taking these laps out of the tyres, because the sprint race just it's not worth it. If we can win the feature race, the chances are we'll be the highest scorer of the weekend. So I'm just going to run with that for now, and just hope that we can win the feature race from this strategy in qualifying. So as we come around the final corner on yet another lap, we go green right at the last minute. We might find a little bit more improvement. It's the end of the session as well, so this will be our finishing position, and it is second. we are now on the front row for the feature race.
The grid is all set for the race tomorrow, but before we go, let's quickly remind ourselves of our top 3, which are Latifi, Calderon and Luca Giotto. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action, and until then, goodbye.
So Nicholas Latifi gets the pole position, and unfortunately the 4 points that go with it, but that just means we really need to beat him in the race today.
It's race day here at Spielberg, and the drivers are making their final preparations down on the grid before lights out. Look around, it's a spectacular setting, and I'm sure today's race will do it justice. Spielberg is a very short lap, one of the shortest we'll see in this Formula 2 championship. 7 rights and 3 lefts make up the 10 corners of the circuit. The left-hand kink of turn 2, leading into the uphill braking of turn 3, represents another overtake hotspot. I'm not the only one sitting here today who's looking forward to today's race. My friend and ex-GP2 champion Davide Valsecchi next to me is already on the edge of his seat awaiting the start of the event. How's it going today?
Hello there, Alex. I'm great, thank you, and very excited to get started. I have a feeling we are in for a very special event today.
Here are the starting positions for today's race. Nicholas Latifi lines up on pole position with Tatiana Calderon alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Giotto, De Vries, Mick Schumacher, Ansete Camara, Correa, Galeo, King, Louis Delatraz, Hubert, Joe, Ralph Boschon, and Aitken, Boccolacci, Ilott, Mazepin, and Mahavir Raghunathan, Alesi, and Nobuharu Matsushita rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Okay, the run into turn 1 isn't too long, so the pack will be bunched up. Take care.
Yes, Jeff, now more than ever we must be careful into the first corner.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid is formed. Be ready with the clutch.
I am ready for the start of this one as we now go to 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights are out and we are underway for the feature race here in Austria, and it is an absolutely awful start by myself. A really good one from Giotto. He's challenging Latifi into the first corner, but he can't quite get there to the inside, so he's locked in behind. We hold third from De Vries behind, who was trying to take the position from us, but we've dropped 1 spot from the start, but I know the AI are not so good on the opening lap, and especially when they're in a bit of a queue, and we are already right on the back of Giotto, so
Start was okay. Now stay alert for threats around you.
we have got no excuses. We have to re-overtake Giotto as soon as possible and start putting the pressure on Latifi, and hope we can make some overtakes on those two early in the race, and hopefully try to stretch away and focus on getting some fast laps in to get those bonus points for the fastest lap. But we'll have to see if we can even overtake them first. So as we go through the final sector now, we have to try to line up the pass into the first corner on Giotto. We're not really close enough at the moment, but as we go through the final 2 corners, we're going to try to close up to him, run a little bit wide there, and take the maximum amount of space we can through that final corner. We've got a nice run onto the straight, and we're going to try to make a move on Giotto. He's going to defend the position, so we're going to stick in the slipstream for as long as we can to go to the outside, round the outside of Giotto, but we just can't quite get there, and he was very close to pushing us all the way off the track, but we weren't quite alongside there. But as we run up towards turn 3 now, down the outside, and we may have just clonked into Nick De Vries on the outside there. I didn't even realise he was there on the left-hand side. But we get around the outside of Giotto while all that's going on. Here's the onboard from Nick De Vries, and you can see we just turn right across him there, pushing him all the way off the track. But I had no idea he was there. I was too focused on Giotto, so that happened. But anyway, he's looking back from Giotto, and there was definitely space between us. But yeah, I did not realise De Vries was there. But anyway, we got the move done on Giotto, so now we can try to focus on Latifi. We've survived the opening lap, and we've still got our front wing. We're still in P2, and Latifi has stretched a bit of a lead away from us, so we need to get that back as soon as possible. So let's go and chase him down. So we move on now to lap 3, and this is Mahavir Raghunathan, and that is a mechanical failure for him, and he is out of this race, so shame for him, but he was down and out of the points anyway at this point in the race. So back on board with myself, and we've made a bit of time on the TP, but he's been very consistent.
Our gap to the car in front is 1.6 seconds. They're on old super softs. Their tyres are 9 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1 minute 20.4. You're closing by 4/10 per lap.
And you'll notice we have actually moved quite a way forward into the race now. We're on lap 10, so he has been a very, very quick car in this race. I've been having a lot of trouble gaining any time on him at all. So we actually move on to when we come into the pits for our stop in this race, and we will be getting an undercut. You can see clear run into the pit lane ahead of us, so this could be our only chance of overtaking Latifi in this race. Out of pit lane, might have got a little bit held up there, and if we come out,
Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
we have to manage this slightly tricky pit exit, but we navigate that, and we are out on track. We've got a bit of clean air, so we need to put in a really good lap and see if we can undercut Latifi, because like I said, it might be our only chance. So we come past the pit lane now, and Latifi is in pit lane, I can confirm, but as we come around the first corner, you'll see that's him out on track just up there, and he has gotten the jump on us, and now he has the fresh tyres and the track position. But our tyres are already up to temperature, so we will gain a little bit more time, especially through here. His tyres will be ice cold, so we may have a little bit more time to gain on him yet around this first lap, but we won't gain the distance that we need to. So if we want to overtake Latifi, we need to be just ultra consistent for the rest of the race, try to get within DRS range, and if we can do that, who knows what we can do. But you can see we are just not gaining the time we need to as we go into the blinding sun. Very difficult to pick the braking point into that corner with the sun there, and that was the reason for all the offs in practice and qualifying. So I'm actually glad that it's been mostly cloudy throughout the race. It's been blocking out the sun heading into that corner, and that's actually made a very big difference in this race so far. And you can see massive aggression through these final couple of corners in the last sector, trying to get every last millisecond and every last millimeter out of the track.
Great work. That's a new fastest lap for the race.
And we get a fastest lap.
Good job. That was the fastest lap of the race so far. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up.
So we move on, and now it is time to try to overtake Latifi. We have a look to the inside into turn 3. He locks up, and we're on the inside, but we just can't get the traction down, and Latifi holds on for now, but we've got the DRS, and we'll soon have momentum on our side. Where can we go? We're going to go to the inside. He's squeezing us a bit, but we're going to push him back towards the racing line and try to take the inside line through turn 4, and we get that move done, and we
Nice move.
take the lead of the feature race here in Austria. Here's a replay of the move down the inside of Latifi. He tried to push us to the inside, but we got through anyway, and we're able to cover him off, so he couldn't get a switch back there. But we go on to another onboard looking back from Latifi, and this is just another view, and you can just see he tried to get the switch back, but I don't know, he sort of backed out of it, so that was a bit weird to see that. But anyway, he's going to come back at us into the first corner as we go in a little bit deep, and he is back through as we get very close to hitting him with our front wing on the way back onto the track, but got away with that one just about. But he's defending into turn 3 on this occasion, so we had a little look on the outside, tried to get a switch back, and we've got the power down okay. With the DRS open, we might be able to make another move into turn 4. We're looking to the outside, to the inside, to the outside, and being a bit indecisive, but we go to the outside, squeeze him right to the apex, round the outside, out on the runoff there, and there's no grip out there, and we couldn't get the power down. Latifi holds on for now, but through the first corner once again you can see we're just trying to line up the move, and we've got the momentum on our side again towards turn 3. Where are we going to go this time? We're going to have a look to the outside as Latifi defends down the outside into turn 3, but Latifi is going to actually cut the corner a bit there, and we're going to go for the switchback. We've got the power down better than Latifi on that on this occasion, and we are drag racing him along the back straight here towards turn 4. We give him a squeeze all the way to the edge of the track, and we managed to get that done, but we run wide and Latifi takes it straight back and almost runs into us on the exit, not leaving us any space to get back on the road. And you can see here trying to maximize the inside line there, but that was a little bit too far off to the inside on that occasion. Lost a bit of time turning in to that corner, but anyway, enough of that. Let's get the mistakes, stop these mistakes, and what am I doing? Let's stop these mistakes, try to get a run onto the main straight, DRS open, and can we get a run on Latifi towards the first corner?
Behind is 31.8 seconds.
Geez, we are flying in this race. The rest of the field is away behind. But anyway, now towards turn 3, we've got the run on Latifi. So can we make a move to the outside? He's defending, and we just didn't quite have enough space to go around the outside. I thought he was going to move across more than that. Normally they do. But anyway, we've got the DRS again towards turn 4, but we did not get a good exit that time. And Latifi will hold on this occasion. But you can see we are definitely faster than Latifi is. We almost run into the back of him there. He is clearly lacking some pace. At this point we have found the rhythm around this track. So into the first corner we go around the outside of Latifi. He cuts the corner again there slightly. So we'll be looking at that soon. But we get the move done on Latifi while I'm talking about all that. And with 11 laps to go, we are ahead. But he's going to come back at us once again into turn 4. Had to leave the space there. He was on the inside. And I tried to get the switch back, but I got a lot of wheel spin as I tried to get the power down, and that really ruined the exit. So Latifi is back through, and at this point it's beginning to switch around once again, and my tyres are beginning to wear out more than Latifi's, and we have sort of equalised in pace somewhat, especially when he has the DRS. He's very tricky to defend from. We have a look to the inside of the final corner, or the final complex of corners, but couldn't really send it there. That was never going to work. So now onto the main straight once again with the DRS open. We're going to try to get a run on him. We're not going to be there. We're not going to get there by the first corner, but we're massively aggressive through the first corner, trying to get the run towards turn 3. And with the DRS open, we might just get a run into turn 3 if we can make a big dive. We go to the inside, dive down the inside of Latifi, and we get that move done on Nicholas Latifi. Park it right on the exit line, and look at that, Sergio Sette Camera has now joined the fight as well. So things are really heating up in this race. But towards turn 3, Latifi is going to come back as we defend and then try to take the racing line. He goes down the inside. We left a big window there. That was definitely a mistake on my part. I got the DRS, so he must have been ahead at the activation detection line, sorry. And that will help us try to defend into turn 4, but he's still on the inside, and he takes the position back as we go for a slide through turn 4, and Sergio Sette Camera is very close behind me, and we make a mistake through the next corner at the end of the second sector, and Sette Camera is on my inside, and I'm trying to take the car around the outside, but it just isn't sticking, and Sette Camera is through for P2 in this race. So I'm actually just going to let him go here and see if he can start battling with Latifi.
Great work. That's a new fastest lap for the race.
And I hope that they can hold them up, hold each other up. But you'll notice we've moved.
Second lap on the car behind.
Shut up. We've moved on to the final lap of the race now. That didn't happen. So Sette Camera is doing his team a huge favour, being a points buffer between us, and he has not been able to overtake Latifi, and as you can see, I've not been able to overtake Steady Camera. So we need to make a move in these last stages, and we go on board with Steady Camera looking back towards me and into the final corner. We're just going to send it into the final corner, push him right out the way, and we will take P2 at the last moment.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
That was a very big dive bomb, but we made it work. Bit of damage, but oh well.
It's been coming for a while, this one. What an excellent win for Dams. Tell me, Davide, what was the key to this success?
I think they kept a cool head. That's why they won today. Smooth, steady, everything bad that happened to them, they handled it calmly and professionally. That's what let them focus on getting the best out of everything else. The car, the strategy, they managed to keep out of trouble the whole way around.
And I can see our drivers making their way out now. It's been a sublime team performance, and it's the culmination of a lot of hard work. Dams are your winners today. After this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. It's a good result for Nicholas Latifi, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver of the day?
Lots of drivers impressed me today, Alex. But if I have to say one that impressed me most, it's Nobuharu Matsushita.
And now a look at the team standings. Dams move further ahead at the top of the standings. Meanwhile, Prema have improved their position. A strong weekend for them as they fight their way to the top. Goodbye for now then, but we really are just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
So really not the race I wanted there. P2 to Nicholas Latifi. He extends his championship lead by a further 5 points. We did get the fastest lap to minimise that buffer that he would have gotten. So that is one positive to come out of this. So we need to have a ripper of a sprint race if we want to make up for this and minimise the damage. Latifi's basically won this round already with the pole position and the feature race win, unless he retires from the next one. But anyway, let's get into the sprint race.
We've reversed the top 8 from yesterday's race to set the grid for the sprint race here today, and the drivers are almost ready on the grid down below. As we await the start of another hugely anticipated Formula 2 race, I'm joined again by Davide Valsecchi. Davide, as a former GP2 champion, can we get some insight to what is running through these young drivers' heads as they sit out on the grid?
Ciao Alex, it's a pleasure to be here. There are nervy moments, there is no doubts about that. Mental strength is the key to remaining calm and focusing on the upcoming race. Formula 2 is so competitive, and all of these drivers knows that they are going to be pushing each other all of the way. In this sport, you have to be able to control your nerves.
Right, let's be patient going into turn 1. We want to be in a good position for the rest of the race. Good luck.
Alright, thanks Jeff. We will just try to survive turn 1, and my goal, I just need to beat Latifi. If I can do that, if I can stay ahead of him, then we gain points, and that's what I need to do. The weekend hasn't gone to plan so far, and we just need to beat Latifi to just try to close that gap a little bit, and then we can reset for the next round.
The rest of the grid is forming up. Be patient and watch for the lights.
Alright, watching for the 3, 4, 5 red lights. And the lights are out, and we are underway for the sprint race here in Austria, and we immediately move across to try and cover off Latifi, and there are cars going around our outside into the first corner. 3 wide up ahead between Giotto, De Vries and Zede Camera, and Zede Camera's around. We've run into the back of him, and we are around and out of this race.
Full course caution. The safety car is out.
safety car has been called. And let's have a look at exactly what happened. Steady camera on the inside of Giotto, on the inside of De Vries. Steady camera spins off of either the side pod or right rear wheel of Giotto's car, and we have nowhere to go. Let's have a look on board with myself, and you can see he's already spinning there, and I couldn't go to the left. Mazepin was on my outside, and we actually banged wheels, I think, through the first corner. But that didn't cause the spin, it was hitting steady camera. Here's the replay from off board again, and we had nowhere to go there, and we get taken out before the race has barely gotten started. Steady camera doing a good job to crash into the end of pit wall there as we drove into pit lane backwards. So well done to us. We can't, neither of us can flick spin properly. But anyway, into pit lane now. We need a new front wing, and unfortunately, just the way the F1 game works, we have to change the tyres. So actually going on to our qualifying tyres, which did quite a few laps, but I need to make another pit stop in this race. The qualifying tyres, they won't make it to the end at the best of times. Let alone that we've done a lot of laps on them already. So what I'm actually going to do is once I catch the field, I will pit once again.
Right, we have 2 stops left in this strategy. We have 2 stops planned.
And the reason actually that there's 2 stops left is because the game doesn't consider that I could actually go back onto the same tyres I was just on.
Pitting this lap then, come into the pits at the end of
So I'm
this
going to do that. When I pit, they will put the tyres back on that were just on the car that they just took off, and that will be fine, and we'll be able to make it to the end on those. And if anything, having to do that actually helps, because this will be 2 or 3 less laps that I have to do on those tyres. So as you can see, I drove straight past pit lane this time because I hadn't really caught the field yet, and I didn't want to end up too far behind. But at the end of this lap, some weird stuff started happening, which I'll show you in just a minute. But basically, the safety car took off from the train of cars just after pit exit, and they did a whole lap very, very slowly. So that's about to happen, you'll see that. It's spoiler alerts, I guess. And oh yeah, here's the onboard from the race leader, Louis Delatraz, I believe. As we're coming into pit lane, this was all happening at once, and the safety car did a full lap, accelerating away from the field, and the whole field did a whole lap very, very slowly. So I'm not really sure what was going on with that, but you can see as we're coming out of pit lane just how slow these cars were going. That is not how slow the safety car moves, as we just narrowly avoid the car at the back. I was not
Give that position back. We are under safety car conditions and cannot overtake. Return the position.
I was not expecting a car to be there. Sergio said a camera parking right. Well, he wasn't parking there, that's just the speed of the train. But anyway,
Gap to teammate ahead is 3.9 seconds.
eventually we get back underway. We send one down the inside of Sede Camera into the first corner, misjudge that completely, run wide, and Sede Camera gets us straight back. So we have made a mess of the safety car restart, not made up any positions or time. So we're going to have a send down the inside again, but we're just not quite going to make it. We are. He slows down the right quite a lot right at the last minute there, and we are drag racing Sede Camera towards turn 4. And I'll admit this was getting very aggressive between us after the turn 1 incident. Probably hard to say whether it was his fault. The turn 1 incident, I mean, we just ran into the back of him and got caught up in his incident. Whether he caused the initial incident, hard to say, but it was just a 3 wide into turn 1 for all the cars up ahead. But anyway, we get past Sede Camera, and we are now behind Mahavir Raghunathan, who didn't even finish the first race. So we will need to try to get past him as soon as possible, and get some overtakes in towards for the first half of this race, and see if we can challenge for points in the second half. I doubt we'll beat Latifi, but I'm hoping that we can at least get some points in this now, So we go round the outside of Rag Hunathan, thank you very much, and we get that position ahead of Rag Hunathan. Next up is Ralph Boschung. So where are we going to try to pass him, trying to go to the outside of the last few corners. That was never going to work, so we go to the inside, and we're going to send one down the inside of Ralph Boschung, and we get that done. Very aggressive type there, but like I just said, we need to get these positions now, so we can focus on the points in the later stages of the race. So next up is Nikita Mazepin, who turned in on us in the first few corners. So he's actually dropped back a bit, I think, because he was up much higher up the field before, unless I misidentified that car, which is very possible. So Mazepin defends, so we go to the outside and drive all the way around the outside of Mazepin through turn 3, and we get that position through ahead of Mazepin. And the next car up ahead is a Lacey, and are we going to pass him right where we passed the other Trident car? We do, down the inside of a Lacey into the last couple of corners, and get that done.
Good job, nice overtake.
And the next car up ahead is Dorian Boccolacci, as Lacey is actually coming back at us a little bit.
Trailing our teammate by 1.7 seconds.
But we're going to outbrake him into the first corner, and he won't be able to put up a challenge there. So now can we get a run on Boccolacci with a DRS? We're a little bit compromised there. So we're going to go for a dive around the outside of Boccolacci into turn 3, and we get that done, almost running into the back of Guan Yu Zhou there, and have a big slide on the exit, and Boccolacci thankfully is unable to capitalize on that, but he's got a bit of a run, but he backs out of it, and we just defend a little bit just to cover off the line, but we will get through there. So now we can focus on Guan Yu Zhou up ahead. We've got the DRS heading towards the first corner, and we're going to send one to the inside, and we will get that move done quite nicely there. Next up is Callum Ilott. So let's see, we're a little bit too far back here, but maybe into turn 4 as we brake very, very late and switch to the inside at the last moment. Callum Ilott very slow into that corner behind a queue of cars up ahead, and we make a very aggressive move there on Callum Ilott, and just about get away with it. We're still side by side battling away towards turn 4, and we complete the pass there, running a bit deep. Can he get the switch back? He's on the right hand side, you can see the proximity arrow there, but thankfully we were able to hold around the outside, and he doesn't fight back too much there, and we're able to take our racing line through the next few corners, running wide a bit there, but it didn't cost us too much in the end. Next up is my teammate Hubert, so let's see if we can pass him perhaps into turn 1, if we can get a run out of the final corner. This whole train must have a slow car at the front of it, because we are passing cars very quickly as Hubert locks up into the final corner. We cut it a little bit because I wasn't sure where he was going, but probably wasn't really necessary, but I was just preparing to take avoiding action as we go down the outside, and can't quite pull that move off, so we get a switchback onto the second straight up the hill, and we've both got DRS, but Hubert is a long way behind the next car. We've got a bit of a slipstream, but we're weaving around all over the place trying to find an opportunity. We go down the outside of Hubert into turn 3, he cuts the corner, gives us a hit, and we're trying to just carry the speed around the outside. We get the DRS, and we should get this move done now towards turn 4, but he's got really good straight line speed, and we can't actually do it, so we're just going to try and hold it around the outside of turn 4, and we can't do that. Tried to get a switch back, it doesn't quite work, and Hubert is being a major blockade in this race. I'm not even sure if that's a word, but I'm using it now. So we move on to the first corner once again, and we just send it from a long way back, give him a hit just like he did to us, wheel to wheel, and we get through on Hubert finally in this race. He was not giving up that position anytime soon, so we had to just steal it away. So we send one to the inside of Matsushita again from a long way behind, and this is getting very aggressive, but I might as well go aggressive. There's no point finishing outside the points. So let's move on now to the next car up ahead, which is
The car behind is dropping back. We're seeing a gap form.
Juan Manuel Correa. We go round the outside into the first corner, hold it through, and take that position. Next up is Jack Aitken. So we're going to make a move on him. Actually, by the time we get there, it's not Aitken, it's Schumacher. So we go to the outside of Schumacher, all the way around the outside,
Okay, good work. Great pass.
and we get that position on Mick Schumacher through turn 4. Now we can try to chase down Jack Aitken once again, but the cars are getting more and more spread out, but we're still making positions in this race. So we have caught up to Aitken to the outside of the first corner,
Gap to teammate behind is 5.7
around the
seconds.
outside of Jack Aitken, and we are through. So the next car now is actually Nicholas Latifi. So he has not had a very good race. He started 6th, started 8th, now in 6th, and the 2 cars that he's passed is me and Sede Camera. So he really hasn't made any ground in this race. But up there is Sean Galale retiring from the race, almost taking Latifi out with him, and that was weird to see. That was a mechanical failure for Sean Galale, and it wasn't actually as close from that angle. But as he pulled off, he was right in front of Latifi. But yeah, it didn't look quite as dramatic from that second camera angle. But we have caught up to Latifi now, and we have a chance to get some revenge for the first race. And let's see where we can try to make a move on Latifi. So we move on to the main straight, and we are moving all the way to the inside, trying to get in to defend, trying to get in the mirrors. We get a good switchback through turn 1, and we'll have a nice run up towards turn 3, but we won't need it. We get the DRS as well, and we will be straight through on Nicholas Latifi and up into 5th position in this race. Galale has retired out of the top positions, so we are now up into the top 5 in this race, well inside the points. And if you look in the top left there, Jack Aitken has also gotten past Nicholas Latifi, so he is really helping me in this championship fight at the moment, pushing Latifi down the field. So we move on now, running a little bit wide through the final corner, but we're going to cross the line against the wall for P5 in this race.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
What a comeback. And I will confirm I did not change the difficulty between races.
Carlin have pulled off a sublime performance to secure the top step of the podium today. Davide, what do you think made the difference here?
I think they kept a cool head. That's why they won today. Smooth, steady, everything bad that happened to them, they handled it calmly and professionally. That's what let them focus on getting the best out everything else. The car, the strategy, they managed to keep out of trouble the whole way around.
As we can see, it's time for the podium, and I can see the Carlin team underneath our commentary box going crazy as their driver walks out. It was a great win, and it means a great deal to this team.
So Louis Delatraz, the race winner for the sprint race here in Austria, and I believe that is Jordan King second. So a really good race by him, and he went under the radar more or less in this one. Giotto third. So good job, I guess.
And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. It was not the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. And so, driver of the day then, Davide Valsecchi, who do you think you'd go for?
Probably Jack Aitken. You know, strong pace, good work with the strategy, just a very complete driver thing.
And here's how things are shaping up in the team's championship. We saw a dip in form from the championship leaders today. Their lead has taken a significant blow. Meanwhile, Carlin move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. There will be plenty more twists and turns to come this season. I hope you'll join us at the next race when Formula 2 returns.
So Carlin take the race win, the opposite Carlin to the race winner here in real life, but nonetheless we take P5. So a solid race for us, a really good comeback from spinning on the first lap, and I can't really be too disappointed with that, but such a shame because with the pace we had, I think we could have easily challenged for a podium, and who knows, potentially outscored Latifi for the weekend. We got the fastest lap once again, so we gained I think 6 points on Latifi in this race, but over the entire weekend he still gained about 3 points because of the pole position that he scored. But anyway, can't complain too much. Like I said, it's a decent weekend, and in the grand scheme of things, we've lost a couple of points, but we'll be able to get those back, hopefully in Silverstone, another track I really enjoy, especially in these F2 cars. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you for the next round in Silverstone. Goodbye.
Okay, that was a big one. Confirm you're okay, please.
Here's the replay. That dust made me sneeze.